What are global issues? How do we define these so-called international problems? And how can we recognize them? In order to identify a global issue, you need to know which characteristics to look for. Why do we need to identify all of these characteristics? Well, if you're a student in my class, you simply need to because you are expected to apply these characteristics in order to identify global issues. However, there are also other, more important, yes, there are things more important than the work that I assign my students, reasons. Social and political scientists formulate criteria to help us get a better grasp of abstract phenomena. This enables us to identify which examples can be defined as such in order to prevent unnecessary confusion. When we utilize the same characteristics to define a complex concept, we have a consistent framework to analyze different problems in the same way, which makes our conclusions more reliable. And this is very important in the field of social sciences since there is such a wide variety of problems that can be studied. So, now you know why you need to know this. Let's move on to identifying and defining the characteristics of global issues. First of all, it must go beyond national borders. To be truly global, it must transcend the different regions of the world in order to be considered international in nature. But what makes an issue, aka a problem? It needs to be something that actually bothers people or causes harm to at least some of us to a certain degree. Part of what makes these problems so complex is the fact that they need collective solutions. This means that the issue cannot be solved alone, not by one person, not even by one nation. Environmental problems tend to be good examples because various types of pollutants transcend national borders, which is why collective international action is needed to solve such problems. One country can pledge to limit pollution, but that does not mean they can prevent certain types of pollution from entering their borders. It's not like they can stop pollution at border passport control. So, without collective cooperation at the international level, these global issues will remain unsolved. Furthermore, the complex nature of these problems means that they are interconnected. They overlap with other issues to form a complicated web of challenges. And finally, due to the many complications, all global issues and their solutions are controversial, by which their very nature makes them extremely difficult to solve. People will debate the degree to which these issues are or are not problematic, and may even disagree about the existence of such problems. Even when issues are recognized as problematic, there will be much discussion about solutions that will often emphasize different interests depending on how solutions affect different actors involved in the global arena. So, for practice, we will apply these characteristics to an example, and we'll take a look at global warming. Now, global warming clearly transcends national borders, since greenhouse gases will not simply stay put in whichever country they are being emitted. It is also problematic for people as it affects the natural world that we live in and depend on. Extreme weather, related crop failures, and floods are just a few of the examples of harmful effects that have been attributed to climate change. And since those greenhouse gases rise above each individual country, it is hard to combat global warming with domestic policy alone. In order to have any real effect, multilateral agreements between a substantial part of the global community are needed. So we see that collective solutions are needed to effectively deal with this issue. Global warming is connected to other global issues. For example, economic issues, as many greenhouse gas emissions are the result of industrialization processes. So it is impossible to analyze this problem simply from a singular environmental perspective, but must be examined and understood in relationship to other global issues. And so here we discover why this issue is also controversial. It seems easy to say we must tackle something that is harmful, but the reality is not so straightforward. There is debate about the causes of global warming and the degree to which it should be considered problematic. Even when there is consensus about the problem itself, discussion continues about how to solve it, and oftentimes who should foot the bill for any of the economic costs of these solutions. And so you see, we can safely say that global warming is a global issue because it meets all of these criteria. If you are a student in my class, you now probably have to go work on an assignment in which you are going to apply these characteristics to a different global issue, so not global warming. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you are another watcher, I hope you learned something and can put it to good use in your study of the social and political sciences.
Like this video, subscribe for more lessons by Miss Mar.